Welcome to the Heartful Healing Hub podcast. I am Deanne, your host, frequency intuitive and energetic healing guide, here to hold space for transformation through sound, energy, and sacred storytelling. You're listening to Healed and Whole, Stories of Remembering, a special series where I sit with women who've walked through deep health challenges and emerged transformed. These are conversations that are sacred, heart to heart, soul to soul, filled with truth, resilience, and the power of coming home to yourself. May these conversations inspire your own inner healer to awaken. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting here with Helen Lingard, and I will pull up her bio here so I can introduce her properly. Helen, head honcho of unleashing your inner confidence from being a young, very shy girl with no confidence, no self-esteem, full of self-doubt and not feeling good enough. She went through many challenges which were awful at the time, and they made her who she is today. So she is now passionate about helping women reclaim their confidence, take back their power, speak up with confidence and clarity. So she is a confidence coach for women over 40. Welcome to the stage. How are you?
Thank you, Diane, for having me. I'm very well, thank you. And as I'm in the future from you, I can tell you the future is bright.
That's true, because you're in Australia. So yes.
New Zealand.
New Zealand. I apologize. I knew you were on the other side of the world, New Zealand.
That's okay.
Well, it's close.
It is. It's a bit like people get Canada and America mixed up, and the same thing with New Zealand and Australia. People get the two confused. Plus, I have a British accent because I'm a Brit Kiwi, so it's all a bit confusing.
Yes, but it's all good. We're like accent, whatever. Like I live in Canada too, right? So I'm not American. I mean, I love my American friends, but yeah, it's nobody knows. And I'm from Quebec, so I have a French accent. So it's very confusing for other people too. It's like, where are you from? Anyway, New Zealand. So we could go with that. And yes, it is the future for you because it is midday for you. And for me, it's like the end of the afternoon, but the day before. Anyway, if you would like to share a little bit more in depth about what you've been through and what's led you to where you are today, which is a marvelous. I love your hat, by the way.
Thank you.
It is just so amazing. I'm not a good person to wear hats, but it looks amazing on you.
Thank you. And this is the reason I wore this hat for this wonderful interview, Diane, is because when I was young, I would never wear hats. I was far too self-conscious. And I remember my mother, bless her, who was still very self-conscious into her senior age. I was over there one time and it was a summer's day. And I've actually been told by doctors that I need to wear a hat to protect myself from the sun. And my mother said to me, do you have to wear that hat, Helen? Do you have to wear that hat? And I said, yes, I do. And I like my hat and I'm not hurting anybody. But I wouldn't have been able to wear this hat many years ago. I just felt, no, I can't wear a hat. So that's partly why I wear the hat. So about me, I was the youngest of three girls when we were young. Well, yes, I say when we were young. There's a reason I'm saying that. And my elder sisters, they both did so well at school, and I just wasn't. I had a learning issue and I didn't know it at the time. And so I struggled at school. And then I was bullied as well because I spoke nicer than the girls I was in formals with, and I dressed a bit nicer. But bullies will just find your Achilles heel and they'll find any reason to pick on you. And because I was so timid and insecure, I just sort of went into myself. And then I flunked my exams at the time, and partly because I was bullied. But fortunately, I went 16, all the bullies left, and I stayed on and I achieved my goal, because my goal had always been to become a nurse. And I was amazed when I achieved my goal of becoming a nurse. And fast forward a few years, I lived in Wales, and then I moved from Wales to London. And then when I was in London, I'd only been there about a year, and I met this gorgeous guy who was from New Zealand. And I was actually going to go to Canada as a nanny. I was nursing at the time, and it was all in process. And then this guy had to come back to New Zealand. And very spontaneously, I said, I'll come with you. And so we went via Toronto and Vancouver and the Rockies on the way over here. So that was me. I left the UK and ended up in New Zealand. Didn't plan on staying, but then, we never know what's going to happen. And so fast forward a few years, and I was bullied twice again by women, actually. It's always been women who should have known better. And on the last occasion, it was awful because I had a phone call that we hate to get when we're living overseas, saying that one of my sisters had suddenly passed away. And I was still in shock and grieving. And me and my kids decided not to return to the UK at that time. We'd stay and we'd go over at Christmas. And then 6 weeks after hearing about my sister, I then heard that my job was gone. And I remember walking back to my desk after being told in a public forum and the whole department was there, and we were just told publicly that our jobs had gone. And I walked back to my desk, and I remember hearing a buzzing in my ear. And because of the trauma of both losing my sister and the job going, I developed a health issue, which I still live with to this day. So fast forward a few weeks, we had gone back to the UK to grieve with my family and returned to New Zealand. And I had taken on a job that seemed great at the time. But when I started the job, it became apparent that it was way out of I just wasn't in the right mental state or anything to take this job on, but I still took it on. And then it became apparent within a few weeks that the new HR manager took a disliking to me. So for the next 10 months, she would call me into a room with my two male managers, and she would just berate me and find fault with me. And it was just awful, just such an awful time. And I've never forgotten one of the things she said to me. She said, "You will jump and you will ask how high." And I just sat there with my head down. I was just kind of, as I say, I was grieving my sister still. It was just awful. During this 10 months, I lost a lot of weight. I had panic attacks. And one of the worst things was my young kids, who were probably teenagers at the time, they were watching their mother, in a terrible state. And finally, the worm turned. I took my power back when I was sitting at my desk one day. It would have been early December. And this had gone on for, like I say, 10 months. And I saw an email. And whilst the email wasn't official, I read between the lines and I could see that they were starting disciplinary action against me. And this is when this woman, this kind of timid young girl, took her power back. And I just thought, enough is enough. I'm not putting up with this any longer. So I had written down all the situations, all the instances of what she'd said to me and how I'd been treated, and the fact these male managers just sat there and said nothing. And so I went into this meeting whereby they thought they were going to haul me over the coals. And instead, I stood there for the first time in their presence with my shoulders back, feeling so powerful. I was shaking, but I read out everything they'd done to me and how the appalling treatment I'd received at their hands. And I told them what I wanted. And I said, if I don't get this, I will take a personal grievance. And whilst walking out that meeting, it wasn't over. But for me, it was a huge weight off my shoulders because I'd taken my power back. I'd spoken up. I'd let them know this woman is not to be messed with anymore. I've had enough. And I walked out. And days later, I heard that they'd granted me what I wanted. And it was from that time I'd always invested in personal growth. And one of the first personal growth conferences I went to was Dale Carnegie in New Zealand. I don't know whether you've heard of Dale Carnegie, Diane.
Oh, yes.
But he's he was an amazing man. And after that situation, when I'd gone from this timid woman and timid young girl who'd been bullied, numerous times, I then made it my mission to help women. I specialize in women over 40 to reclaim their confidence, take back their power, set boundaries. And recently, I heard this wonderful interview on the Jimmy Kimmel show. And it was Morgan Freeman being interviewed, but he relayed this thing that he'd been told by Clint Eastwood. And in their case, it was don't let the old man in. But I've adopted it as don't let the old woman in. And what does that mean? It means age is an attitude. We can't stop growing old. However, we can look after ourselves, embrace ourselves, accentuate our positives, wear a hat if you want to wear a hat, wear colourful clothes, take back your power and be you, be your authentic self. And it took me years to be my authentic self because I was always trying to fit in. And I'm sure like a lot of women, I know I've had responses from women when I've shared this. I have been excluded and I've been treated badly by some women. And so it's about realizing that how worthy you are. And when you realize you're worthy, you don't put up with treatment that's less than you deserve. And when you realize how worthy you are and how valuable you are, you make peace with it and you just let those people go. And you realize also that you don't need somebody in your life. You have to fall in love with you and accept yourself as you are. And then you attract the right people to you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I was going to say too, that sometimes as difficult as it may be, there might be some people that are in your life right now that although you love them and you don't want to part with them, you can love them from a distance because they're not bringing the best out of you and they're not subconsciously often they're not wanting the best for you. It's all about them. And so, yeah, I mean, beautiful that you've been able to, get that confidence and
Yes. And it's not always easy. I mean, I've heard from lots of women and I've worked with women who really struggle with letting people go and realizing that they're just not their people. But when you value yourself and we're all a work in progress. No one, not even the supermodels or the celebrities, no one's got it all together. We've all got our issues. We've all got something we're not happy about. But when we work on ourselves and we get comfortable with ourselves, then that's when we realize I don't need to hold on to that person, because many women, they're afraid to let somebody go because, and I'll just share a quick story about my mother, bless her. She was back in Wales and she was very house proud. And I remember when I go back there and I'd have my bare feet and I'd have them on the sofa and she'd tell me off for having bare feet on the sofa. Yet other people would come round and they would have their pets on the furniture or they'd be eating a biscuit on the furniture. And I would say to her, I said to her afterwards, I said to her, Mum, I said, you don't like me putting my bare feet, but you allow other people to come in and have their pets on the furniture or people eating chocolate and biscuits. And she said, well, yes, if I tell them I don't like it, they might not come around anymore. And that broke my heart because I saw her in a whole new light, that she was a real people pleaser and she was afraid of people not. And a lot of women and men, for that matter too, are like that. They're afraid to speak up, speak their mind, say what they want because they want to belong. And they're so eager to be, desperate to belong. And so that's what I do. I help women realize that, you can set boundaries up, and you can be polite and still tell people, these are my boundaries. This is what I appreciate. Please respect it.
Yeah. And the people that do love you and appreciate you, they will stick around anyway, whether you have it, and they will respect your boundaries. That's the beauty of this.
Absolutely.
Some people, they just want to take advantage of other people, and they don't care about boundaries. So, and that's what I'm saying. Some of these people, even though you love them, you can love them from a distance.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I don't know whether you've heard this. I've forgotten her name now. Was it Lisa Nichols in The Secret? She shared this wonderful phrase that friendships are like seasons. Some last a whole lifetime, some last a few months, some last a short time. But it's being prepared to, as you say, you still love them, but you just let those people go. Not everybody is your people. And it's so hard. I totally get it. I've had to let people go many times, and it's not always easy. But we have to realize, it shows that you have more value and more worth when you are aware of not, you're okay with letting people go because they're not your people, they're not your tribe anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's a phrase or a saying that is similar to what you just said. Some people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And Absolutely. It's kind of trying to figure out sometimes where do they fit in. And
yes. And that you also, it's worth knowing that people come into your life, and very often it's the same with situations as well, is there's a lesson to learn from something. And until you get the lesson, you'll still keep getting reminded. And so suddenly you think, why is this always happening to me? And you have to ask yourself, what's the lesson I need to learn here, Helen? Just what's the lesson? There's a lesson here. And when you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers.
Yeah. And same with people. Sometimes you attract the same people over and over. It's like, okay, if you sit down, like you said, for a minute and say, okay, what am I supposed to learn here? So sometimes it is about self-confidence and setting your boundaries and that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, did you use any tools or modalities, or what helped you, or did you just wake up one day and you just said enough is enough? I know you mentioned that you did a lot of inner work and you were following, I'm guessing some of the gurus out there, but.
Oh, yes. I've done lots of work on myself. I followed Tony Robbins for a long time. I still follow him. I'm just not addicted. I used to be kind of addicted, but I've learned a lot from him. Louise Hay, Dr. Wayne Dyer. There's many that I learned from. And in fact, one question, and I've invested in a lot of coaches over my life. And one thing I was asked many years ago, and this is a great thing for anyone to ask themselves, because probably about 20 years ago, I was going through a really challenging time, wasn't feeling good about myself. And again, this is like a lot of women don't feel good about themselves. And somebody I was working with said to me, so ask yourself, Helen, what have you achieved? Because then I didn't feel like I'd achieved anything. I'd flunked school, but I'd gone back and got enough to get my nursing. But when I asked myself, what have I achieved? And it was, oh my word, I got into nursing, even though I didn't think I would. I passed my driving test first time when many people failed first time. I've traveled the world. I've moved from the UK to New Zealand. I've had 2 children, always wanted 2 children, one of each. And it was just amazing when I realized, oh my goodness, I've achieved everything I set for myself. And that changed my whole perception of me. It was just quite incredible. Yeah.
That's wonderful. But and that's the thing too, is that when we're in the midst of our life, we don't actually realize all the progress and all the things we've achieved because it's just there. So, and when you step back or you kind of look, just kind of hover over your life and take that kind of perspective, if you can, then you realize, oh, I've done this and I've done that and I've accomplished this and I've accomplished that. So it's like, yeah.
And another wonderful thing I was taught, I had a dog, aka a fur baby, and she's been gone about 13 years now. And when she went, I have 2 human babies and my fur baby. When she went, I was in a bad way. And if anybody's lost a fur baby, they know it's just absolutely awful losing a fur baby. And I was beside myself, really grieving hard. And again, a coach I was working at the time said to me, what do you miss most about Zoe? And within seconds, I said, oh my goodness, the unconditional love that she gave me. Because, you know, when you have children and you come home, well, it depends on what age they are, but very often they're staying in their rooms, they, hi, mum, you know, and they don't bother coming out to see you. Whereas a dog, I mean, and obviously cats and all sorts of fur babies, there are all sorts of fur babies, but a dog especially will come to the door, be all over you. You could be gone for 5 minutes or 5 hours. It's still, you know. And when I said unconditional love, and this coach said to me, you need to give that to yourself. And that is so true. We look to other people to give us love, support, to validate us, to tell us we look nice, to say how smart you look, to do all this, you know, whatever. And yet we need to be giving it to ourselves, because when we expect others to fill that void, they'll always disappoint us. And that's why relationships quite often don't work, because we're expecting that partner to give us something we need to be giving ourselves.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, loving ourselves, self-care, and just, yes, just tending to our own needs. If we can't do that, then it's difficult to give that to other people. And I was just chatting with another gal this morning, and you know, like she was saying, you know, when your cup is empty, you can't pour out to anybody else. So if you don't look after yourself, you don't love yourself, you don't, like, I have 1 day a week that is totally self-care day. I don't care what's happening around the world, or I don't do anything business related. It's my day. So I do whatever I want. So it is absolutely crucial. And yes, loving ourselves is part of that, because it's, you know, like when you look at yourself in the mirror, we're so critical of ourselves, but it's like, no, look at yourself, look yourself in the eyes. And if you can truly say, I love you, and actually mean it, then, you know, you're way ahead of so many people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's about making peace with our bodies and really appreciating. I mean, I love the fact you said you give yourself a day of self-care. That's so powerful. That's just wonderful. And it's about appreciating our bodies for what it's brought us. I mean, when I was young, I didn't like anything about myself. I didn't even like my name. And I have learned to, and this is what we need to do. We need to be, and this is a question that I learned from Tony Robbins, you know, what's wonderful about me? And when we ask those questions, if we say what's wrong with me, we'll get the answer. If we say what's wonderful about me, and actually appreciating, you know, looking at our face or our legs, you know, appreciating our body for a start. It's brought us to this age, but also accentuating our positives and accepting and making the most of what we don't appreciate so much. I shared this morning, actually. For me, my top half is the better half, and comes with summer. I'm always somebody, I wear summer dresses with, you know, my arms out, and I just love the sun. But I didn't use my bottom half isn't my favorite part. However, what I have done, and I shared this morning, is asking ourselves, what can I control? And I've toned up. I go to yoga, I walk, I cycle, and my legs have toned up. And so now they're not anymore. They're not my Achilles heel anymore. I actually quite love my legs. But that's the thing. We have to, what can I do about this? Can I turn my arms up and focus on what we can control and accept and love the rest of us, because it's got us to this age. And, you know, as I learned through my sister passing away, aging is a privilege denied to many. So let's embrace it and appreciate ourselves for where we've got to, and feel gratitude and proud of ourselves. And that's another question we can ask ourselves. What am I proud of, you know? And self-care, for me, every morning, I either go down to the beach first thing and either have a dip in the water. I'm a cold water immersion person, or I go to yoga 4 times a week, and then I go to the beach. And that's my self-care, it's my happy place. And that's another thing we have to do, is ask ourselves, what's my happy place? And go there as often as we can. And what it's worth noting, even if you can't get your happy place every day, you can go there in your mind, because our mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. Yeah. And we can close our eyes and just hear the waves and hear the seagulls and just imagine we're there, and our body doesn't know the difference. But even better, obviously, if you can go to your happy place. But I think your day of self-care is brilliant, Diane.
Yeah, no, I really love what you said about, like, even if you can't do that physically, you can still, like you said, our mind doesn't know whether we're actually in a place or doing something or eating something. I mean, there's been so many studies done to prove that exactly. So it's beautiful. Like my favorite way of waking up is I have 2 10-minute recordings that I created. One is the waves, the beach. I love the beach. And then the other one is in the forest. It's like it's birds and it's just beautiful. And they're like just 10 minutes. That is how I begin my day. I just lay in bed and I listen to those 2 10-minute little recordings and just breathe and just relax some more. I mean, I know I just woke up, but that is my favorite way of waking up. And that's part of my daily self-care.
Wonderful, wonderful. And of course, it's really important when we wake up, which is so easy to do this, but we must not go reach for our phone or computer, but just lie there and feed our minds with good things.
Yeah.
And even the other thing that I would encourage, and I must say, I don't do this every day, I try and do as much as I can, is journaling. Because journaling, writing down what's on our mind, the good, the bad, the ugly, gratitude, even writing down who's annoyed us, just getting it all out, empty our brain, and do that twice a day, morning and then evening. And it's great to do, because I know that as we get older, a lot of women struggle with sleep. But if you actually offload into your journal at night before you go to bed, write down all the things, like tomorrow's list of things to do or anything that's on your mind, and then tell your mind, okay, closing for the night, now time to sleep. You will sleep so much better. And then in the morning you can wake up and again and again, a simple thing to be grateful in the morning is you woke up, because not everybody did.
Yeah.
And you've got hot and cold running water, because a lot of people don't. Food's in the fridge, and that gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude and journaling. I would encourage the listeners and the watchers to look up the how powerful gratitude and journaling is. It calms the nervous system, and there's so many benefits.
Oh, absolutely. I can't agree with you more. Like, so many things, and there are so many things we can be grateful for. So yes, absolutely. That's part of my morning routine as well, which I didn't mention. But like when I'm listening to my recordings and I'm breathing, I'm also thinking about all the things that I'm grateful for, and just
Yes.
It's the best way to wake up for me.
Yes. And it's worth noting that, I mean, for instance, for me, I wasn't homeless or anything, but several years ago, I was between houses. I'd sold one house and hadn't found this house, and circumstances had me sleeping in my car for a few days. And it wasn't the best, but it taught me so much, because now when I climb into bed at night, I'm so grateful for my cozy bed, because if you try sleeping in your car, and we know, there for the grace of God go any of us, many people do, it's not comfortable. But these things, the contrast teaches us to be grateful. And for me, every night I go to bed now, it's like, oh, I can stretch out, and oh, it's so warm and comfortable. So there's a lesson. Again, that was a lesson in gratitude, to really appreciate my bed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we have so much to be grateful for, to have a bed to sleep in, and then to wake up in the morning, as you said. So yes, so much to be grateful for.
Yes.
I mean, the
Yes.
list could go on and on and on, but yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Any words of wisdom that you would like to share specifically with anyone listening or watching?
Um, I don't. One thing I would like to share, which is, I think I'm not sure if I shared with you privately before or whether I've shared this in the call. I heard this wonderful phrase a few weeks ago on the Jimmy Kimmel show, and it was Morgan Freeman sharing with Jimmy Kimmel something that Clint Eastwood had taught him, and for them it was "Don't let the old man in." And I
Mm-hmm.
love that, and I've changed it to "Don't let the old woman in,"
Yeah,
because we can't stop aging, but we control what we can. And stay as fit as you can, eat, put the right nutrients in your body and enjoy life. And we can't control the signs of aging, but we control how we respond to it. And just be yourself and appreciate the fact that we are growing older. We've been here for all this time, and aging is a privilege denied to many. So
yeah,
remember, don't let the old woman, or if there's men listening, the old man in. You've got a choice.
yeah, absolutely. No, totally agree with that. I was trying to remember. There's one phrase that looks that sounds a bit like this. Like you don't, you can't help grow old. No, it's I can't remember what it is. It's one like one is growing up, and then the other one is grow old, and one of the anyway, whatever. But we don't have to be old. Like you
No,
can't help aging, but it doesn't mean that you
no,
have to grow old and
that's
just
right.
act like an old
Yes,
person.
yes. And I mean, if people say, "Oh, I'm stuck in bed" or whatever, you can always move your arms. You can do chair yoga. There's always, where there's a will, there's a way. And so you
Yeah,
can just find movement that your body will allow you to do. And remember, if you don't use it, you lose it. So
yeah,
yes, let's use it as much as we can.
yes, absolutely. Wise words, madam. So I will have all your links and everything, so people, if they want to get a hold of you, it's all going to be in the show notes. And I am so grateful that you've spent the time and come and chat with me and enjoy this time. I really enjoyed this time with you. So,
Thank you. I have too, Diane. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
oh, my pleasure.
Thank you for spending time with us inside the Heartful Healing Hub. If this story moved you, please consider sharing this episode or leaving a comment. Your words help others find this sacred space. If you or someone you love has a healing journey to share, we'd love to hear from you. And finally, if you would enjoy a gentle way to unwind after listening, visit the show notes to download your free tea ritual guide, Sip and Soften, a soul-soothing gift to nourish your inner healer. Until next time, be kind to yourself and trust what has always been within you. And remember, you are whole, you are healing, you are home.